In this video, you are going to learn how to be sure you're giving birth at the right hospital for you. Hey there, I'm Dr. Nicole Calloway Rankins. I'm a board certified practicing OB GYN. I've been practicing for nearly 15 years. I have helped over 1,000 babies be born and have helped thousands more women feel calm, confident, and empowered during their pregnancy and birth. A lot of women I see don't necessarily put too much thought into the hospital where they plan to give birth. That can be fine, but it could be a big mistake. The culture of the hospital where you give birth has a huge influence on your labor and birth experience. Your doctor actually is not there during most of your labor. It's the hospital staff, specifically your labor nurse, who is with you most of the time. So you need to be sure you're in a place that supports you and your vision for your birth, especially if you want a low intervention birth. Okay, so step one to be sure you're in the right hospital is check with your insurance. I hate to start there, but the reality is that not all insurance will pay at every single hospital for your birth. You don't want to end up being surprised at the end to realize that your insurance doesn't actually work at the hospital where you want to give birth. So check with your insurance to see where they cover. Step number two is check with your doctor. Your doctor probably goes to one, maybe two hospitals where they do delivery. Some do more, but most stick to one or two. You definitely don't want to find out at the last minute that the doctor doesn't go to the hospital where you'd like to give birth. And then tip number three is ask questions at the hospital. Call up the hospital and ask, what is the overall cesarean birth rate at the hospital? Does the hospital support doulas? Does the hospital support women being able to move around during labor with things like wireless monitoring? Does the hospital have tubs? Does the hospital have showers to provide hydrotherapy as a form of pain relief? Does the hospital have things like birthing balls to help women during their labor? You don't want to show up and realize that the hospital doesn't have the culture, doesn't have the things to support your vision for your birth. Now, there is much more to know about the hospital where you give birth, and you can find out all the details in episode 4 of my highly rated podcast, all about pregnancy and birth. With over 200,000 downloads and counting, it is a go-to source for supportive, evidence-based information about pregnancy and birth. You can find the episode at ncrcoaching.com/episode 4, or the podcast is available on all the major podcast platforms.